With our golden poses done, it's time to add some breakdowns. The goal of those additional poses is to have a better grasp on the flow of the animation. We will build the first step into the jab, which is the anticipation of the jab, then the transition into the right cross, and the right cross overshoot really help to communicate the power into this punch. Then we will add a couple of poses after the hook to show the steps taken by the character to get back into idle before performing the switch kick. We'll create the transition jump into the anticipation of the switch kick that is already blocked. After the kicking pose, we will add an overshoot of the leg that will sell the power of the kick. Top, and finally, we will add a transition pose before the two steps we have already blocked back into idle. Before building those poses, I've watched the reference and I've spotted the frame that were interesting to me. Like this pose in between the idle and the first jab, character is lowering his center of gravity and also pushing forward. So it will be a great anticipation. I've also noticed that the character is slightly dropping his hands during this anticipation. As a passing pose for a walk cycle, I'm trying to find a good breakdown. And the time where the character is pulling his left hand and pushing with the right hand seems to be pretty nice. Also adding notes as a reminder that the torso is twisting a lot on this pose. Then I will spot the overshoot. If your reference doesn't show the next move, just put a note on top of this and make sure that you look for new reference later on. So this is something I've been doing for every poses I wanted to add into the blocking stage. As in the previous videos, our goal is not necessarily to copy 100% the exact same poses, but to check the body mechanisms that are involved and then push them to make our animation more exaggerated and more appealing. So let's work the step forward into the jab. As usual, I will try to define the line of action, the simple C shape. The front foot is currently raising while the back foot is pushing. So as before, I generally scrub around the current frame to check out the motion of the different parts of the body, the hands, the head, the feet, so that I don't forget to pose them, and also I could choose whether I favorize the front foot to move further away or to be closer, to drop more the fist, to lean more the character forward, make any choice to exaggerate the current pose. Now in Blender, I will insert a keyframe for all the controllers of both the character and the bag on frame 7. Again, at this stage we don't care about timing. You can do it on frame 7 or 8, it doesn't matter. Then I want to get rid of the rest pose we have on frame 0. So I will duplicate frame 5 on frame 0. When working on an animation, if it's not a gameplay animation, I advise you to keep 5 frames or so in the beginning in a still pose, so that you can get prepared to what is coming next. If you start your animation from frame 0, sometimes it's a bit hard to read. The difference between this new pose and the previous one won't be that big. First, I want to lower the center of gravity as our character is gathering energy to throw the punch. Then I've pushed the center of gravity forward as our character is already moving forward. The left foot is raised a little bit and slightly rotated toward the inside because it's gonna leave the ground on the next frame. And so the center of gravity will shift a bit to the left. The character is pushing toward his left foot with his right foot. So you have to move the cog a bit to the left. Then I do a few adjustments with the arm, making them dragging a bit. So I raise the shoulder as the center of gravity is getting lower. I open the hand as the whole body is moving forward, as if there was wind blowing into the palm of the character. And I do the same with the neck and the head. As he drops into the step, I slightly raise his chin. When we watch the reference for the next pose, we can see that the character is currently pulling the left arm and bring it close to his chin to protect it. In the meantime, the right arm is traveling toward the target. The hips are twisting a lot, the center of gravity too, and the chest is twisting but dragging a little bit. Finally, the right foot is rotating a lot. So those are the main points we are going to address into our breakdown pose. As for the previous pose, I will add a keyframe on all the controllers of the bag and the character on frame 12. Again, at this stage, we don't care about timing. Since the location of the feet doesn't change between the previous and the next pose, we can directly work on the center of gravity of the character. As the character is twisting to his left, his center of gravity is also shifting to the left foot. So we need to twist the center of gravity, but we also need to move it to the left. Just imagine that the character is diving into the next punch with his left shoulder. As seen in the reference, the right foot is rotating a lot, so I rotate it even more and I will raise a bit the heel. Don't forget to adjust the position of the hips accordingly. Now we can twist a bit the chest, but don't forget that the hips are leading, so the chest may not twist as much as the hips for the time being. Once the punch is thrown, the chest will catch up with the hips. And as the weight is getting on the front left foot, I'm slightly tilting it to the left, and I'm slightly pushing it down. This will mimic the compression of the foot on the ground. For this breakdown, I've decided to not go too into the orthodox boxing pose, with the left fist very close to the chin. I've kept the left arm slightly more opened. This way we have a nice circular flow between the two arms. As I explained before, remember to move the arms with the anatomical constraint, rotating the elbow only around one axis. And don't forget to pose the bag. That's not the most important thing, but it will help you read your animation. To do so, I've reset all the controller of the bag and then I slightly rotated it backward just after the little jab, as if the jab has pushed it a bit and the bag is swinging.